since video games started becoming popular in the mid-1990s, there's been concern that violence in video games will encourage aggressive behavior in those who play them. In fact, when the Columbine High School massacre occurred in 1999, authorities cited the shooter's enjoyment of the game Doom as one of the reasons for the boys' excessive aggression. However, recent studies are beginning to refute this popular belief. My claim is that there is no correlation between violence in video games and violent behavior in adolescents and adults. The first piece of evidence we can look at is some statistics cited from procon.org, which is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit organization. And they claim that video game sales in 2003 were up to about $7 billion, which is up from nearly $4 billion in 1996. However, there is a downward trend of overall violent crime statistics in the U.S. from 3.5 million incidences down from 2 million incidences, down to 2 million incidences. There was a study conducted by Dimitri Williams, who specializes in studying the social impact of media at the University of Illinois. And he conducted a study with a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. And his study concluded that there is inconclusive results, that there was no evidence one way or the other of this problem. And many researchers are beginning to follow suit. An article published by Christopher Ferguson from the Criminal Justice Department at Texas A&M points out that aside from the Columbine shooters, most young men who have committed mass public shootings since the mid-1990s, including the Virginia Tech massacre in 2007, have not been avid gamers, and many didn't even own gaming consoles or violent computer games. Based on all of this research and all of this evidence, I'm led to believe that there's no evidence for an increase of violence and aggression in the real world that stems from video games.
All right, well, I can see that there is multiple evidence in your supporting point. I had a little bit of trouble classifying it into different categories. So I am giving you some credit in the testimony, the statistics, and the example category, but it's a little bit iffy on a couple of points. I'll explain why in just a second. I thought you had a very clear statement of your topic. I like the setup that you had trying to explain why you're talking about this and the background on it. I think that makes sense. And then you've got a very clear statement of the claim. Like I said, the first citation, procon.org, that's basically a mega site that accumulates information. It doesn't do the research itself, so that data comes from someplace else, and it would be better to quote the primary source rather than the secondary source in this situation. And that's one of those things that I run into in my argumentation classes. When people go to websites and they find information, often what they're doing on a site like that is they're just listing what the issues are on each side, and they don't even do original research. They just kind of summarize what they've read other places and give people talking points and bullet points on it. But then people quote those talking points as if that is, an authoritative opinion. I think we got a little bit of that here, so you want to be careful about that. I'm kind of giving you, like I said, some credit in one of the categories on that. I think you want to be a little bit more certain about that. The example stuff that you have at the end where you talk about most of the mass shooters not having been gamers or any of those sorts of things, I think that works pretty well. It was a little odd to use the study that didn't find a result as proof that there is no relationship, so that seemed a little bit awkward. I thought that your voice sounds very good. You stand behind the podium a little bit, and that I don't have an objection to people using the podium when you need to, but your notes are really very brief here. We'll talk about podium use later on. Not a big deal, so don't worry about that. And like I said, I thought that you came back and summarized your argument pretty effectively too. All right, thank you.